Okay, we're going to look at the texture map shader. Let's open the material editor, open the color shaders list, choose this texture map shader icon, and then let's go see what parameters we can edit. There's a nice little box over here that we can use to get a texture map, so we can click here and choose whatever texture map you want from the texture browser. So let's choose the calligraphy texture map. Let's apply it to our object. Here's the rendered version, and we also change the U and V reps, and what that does is controls the number of repetitions and how the texture map is repeated across the object's UV space. So it increases the U repetitions to 2, and let's leave the V repetitions at 1, and let's apply to object and see what that looks like. As you can see, it's now squeezed a bit, the texture across, so let's maybe increase that even a bit more to make it more obvious how it's squeezed up on the U direction. So that's happening over there, and you also increase the V repetitions to 5 as well. Let's apply to object and see what that looks like. As you can see, the texture map is now much smaller than it was originally. You can change the U and V reps however you want to cause the texture map to be repeated across the object's UV space. Then there's also the UV offset over here. And what that does, it controls the offset of the initial positioning of the texture map on the object's UV space. So increase the U offset, and it'll slide the texture map across the object in the U direction. So let's apply that to our object and see what that looks like. So as you can see, it's a bit slid across now, so you can do that, and you also adjust the V offset as well. So basically slide in either one of the directions, the U direction or the V direction. And you can see updating on our cube over there. Then there's also 3 other checkboxes down over here that you can use. There's the FLT filtering option, ANIM animation option, and the overlay option. The filtering option basically adjusts how the texture map will be filtered rather than point sampled when it's rendered. And what that means in layman's terms is that you'll get rid of the jaggedy edges on your texture map. Let's render the cube and see if we can see some jaggedy edges first. As you can see on the cube, the text over there, the calligraphy, there's like jaggedy edges along the A, R, and I. So if I turn on the filtering option, and by applying to object again and then rendering an object again, we'll be able to get rid of those by making it more blurred. As you can see now, the word calligraphy is much more smooth than it was originally. That's because the filtering option is on. Then there's also the anim option over here. What that does, allows to load up animated textures from the texture browser. So let's go load that up. You can choose whatever texture you want. Let's load the animated one. So let's load the calligraphy anim to AV. Let's apply to object. As you can see, when we drag the animation slider bar, the AVI file plays as a texture map on an object. And all the other controls still apply, like you can set the UV reps back to 1, and when you apply it to your object, you'll have only one AVI file play on your object. And offset stuff applies as well, so you set it back to 0 and 0. And then apply it to your object, and you see a texture map plays automatically. Then there's the overlay option down over here. And what the overlay option does is it allows you to use 32-bit TGA or PNG files. And what that'll do is it'll look at the object's base color. So let's go look at the TGA file we have over here. And it'll take the object's base color and it'll show through the transparent spots. So let's apply that TGA file to our object and let's to render of it. Right now you can see it just looks like a normal texture. But when we turn off the texture map options, let's go choose the blue color. And let's go load back up the texture map over that and turn the overlay option. The blue shows up through the transparent parts of the texture, which is where the text is. So when we render it, we'll see that the blue shows up in the text. So you also apply it to your flat plane and see what that looks like. And as you can see, now you have blue text showing through the transparent spots on the flat plane. So that's a transparency map option, and you can use it for doing a lot of stuff. You can make your objects look like almost anything you want. So let's apply some other texture maps to our objects over here, like this one over here is a nice one, and let's apply it to our cube, and then let's go apply another one to our dot plane. Let's do render. As you can see, we quickly apply really nice texture maps and make our objects look much nicer than they were. That's the texture map shader.